Hello and welcome to Skeindeer Knits. My name is Ellie and I am a Norwegian living and knitting in London, and you can find me on Instagram as Skeindeer, and I'm called Skeindeer Knits as a designer on Ravelry. And on Ravelry you can find the group Skeindeer Knits, which is the best place to take part in knit-alongs and, well, if I do any giveaways, any sort of community participation, getting help with patterns and just, yeah, taking part. Speaking of knit-alongs, I'm just going to very quickly cover the ones that I am hosting, and then I'm going to just get into the episode. So yeah, running the year-long knit-along of 2019, where we aim to make 6 pairs of colorwork mittens for the duration of 2019. It is not too late to join, so there's more information about that in the link down below. Same thing goes for the Kosakofta Cal, not too late to join at all, and it doesn't even have a deadline yet, so there's that. But the goal there is to make my Kosakofta pattern, again linked to down below. So anyway, now that we've got that out of the way, welcome to this video, podcast, talk show, whatever you want to call this. If you're a new viewer, you've been thrown into the deep end. I've just covered all the babble beforehand. Yeah, welcome. This is where I talk about knitting, and that's what I'm going to be doing today as well. And if you're a returning viewer, then welcome back. I have been knitting quite a bit, and I have something of the needles, but it's arguably not finished yet. I decided to give it a soak and dry before I sew it all together, so I'm gonna go fetch that off the drying racks right now. So it is maybe like 99% dry, I'm gonna say. There's a sense of different temperatures. I'm gonna assume it's a little bit damp still, and that is apricot without sleeves, but it's still apricot. That is a Kiyomi Bergen pronunciation, sorry, pattern. It's a design from the latest Elaine magazine, and I do have the sleeves as well. This is nothing new, but they have now been soaked and dry. So yeah, all I really need to do is sew in the sleeves. Could have done that, but I decided to let it soak and dry first. Maybe I should have just sewn it together first, and then I could have dried it. And yeah, oh well. I just wanted to know how deep the armhole would be after sewing, which I think was probably a good call. But you know what, let's try it on anyway. Let's see how it looks now, just for the hell of it. So you'll probably see this thing again, because I will be sewing in the sleeves, and then it will be like a proper finished object, not just like off the needles finished, but like properly finished. So this is kind of how it sits right now. Obviously you can't tell because it's completely blending into the jumper I'm wearing today, which is just a store-bought one. What can I say? I know what colors I like. So if we put on the sleeves, this is how that works. Oh, this is ridiculous. You can tell I'm needing to like fill up this episode with something. So hey. Okay, let's have a look at this. Whoa! So this is the first time I'm actually trying it on. How about that? I like the length. It's really good with the skirts. You can see it's not that much longer than the jumper I've kind of just packed under here. Yeah, nice, very nice. This is obviously going to drop a lot more once the sleeves are attached. Yeah, oh, it's really cozy. Oh, this is so nice. It's like, well, it is I think it's a Polworth Cormo, possibly Corriedale combination, spun by John Nabben and dyed by Skein Queen, and held together with a silk mohair from Ainsworth yarn, and it's just so nice. Oh, I bought both of these together on Ravel in February in Farnham, and turns out that I ended up using them together. Didn't plan on that, but that's what I did. I'm gonna take this off now. I feel absolutely ridiculous. I'm gonna talk you through all the modifications that I have made, because I made a lot of them, as you may already have noticed if you know anything about this pattern. First of all, this was made to be knitted flat. The whole instructions of the pattern is to knit this flat, which makes sense, because if you're gonna knit it flat from under here to up to here, might as well do it all the way, right? Consistency, engaged and all that. Yeah, didn't do that, didn't want to do that. So here, all the way here, it's knitted in the round, and I don't see why not. It worked out really well. I have no regrets about doing that. It made it a lot more quicker. I enjoyed it more. There was just like generally more flow to that for me personally, just kind of because of how I feel about purling. But obviously it might be different for you, and you may enjoy purling, and it makes a lot of sense for you to make smaller pieces and get a sense of completion quicker. So same with the sleeves, they're made to be knitted flat, but again, I'm not really that into seaming stuff and stuff, so I just did them in the round as well, as it were. So all I need to do is sew them into the body, and you can tell like just my resistance to sewing in the sleeves. I'm sure you can understand why it's just not realistic that I'm going to finish something that is knitted entirely flat in terms of getting back together and sewing it together, even though I do have the old project laying around that I am going to do that, promise. I've had this like dust on my nose for a long time now. I'm sorry if that appeared on camera, but anyway. Other modifications is the neckline. The neckline is supposed to have a lot of rib that kind of overlaps a bit so that you can button it shut and it's quite snug. Do you want to know why I didn't do that? Because this is what I have left of the yarn. Ooh, this is not a lot. I don't have very big hands, so if this is the thumb. Essentially, I don't have particularly big thumbs. It's not a lot. It's very little. So could have done probably one more round of the neckline as it is, but yeah, I knew I needed to go for a regular one that was even quite short, so it's a lot more open around the neck than the pattern, which I kind of like a close neckline, so it's a bit of a bummer, but eh. So have I done anything else differently? I don't think so. I am kind of nervous that there is like a visible kind of transition between where I changed skein somewhere here. I felt like I saw that earlier. Did I? No, I guess maybe it's just in my mind. It's probably all just in my mind. I think it's fine. So the good thing about this yarn is that I only needed 2 massive skeins of the Skein Queen yarn, because they came in 200 gram skeins, so 400 grams altogether, which was just enough. And I did make the sweater considerably shorter than recommended. I'm not entirely sure exactly how much shorter. I'm gonna measure that now. Found a measuring tape. This is good. Okay, this is surprising. I thought it was gonna be like 10 centimeters shorter, but it's like 4 centimeters shorter, so all hail blocking, I guess. And the sleeve depth is now 25 centimeter, and it was 21.5 before I gave it a soak and dry, so I'll definitely be grafting up the underarms quite a bit. So what we have learned from this is that I can understand why this is made to be knitted flat, because what you do then is you have the 2 flat pieces and you decide where the armhole goes after you have blocked the flat pieces. So once it's been blocked to the length, you then know that 21.5 centimeters is exactly that. Whereas what looked like 21.5 centimeters before blocking is now 25 centimeters. So I'll be grafting the underarm, but that doesn't upset me at all, because that was actually the original plan. If you remember a couple episodes back, I talked about that I wanted to divide for the front and the back for the armhole before I thought I had to, because I wasn't sure if I had enough yarn. And then as I was knitting this last night, I found that it looks like I divided just in the nick of time. And now looking back at it, turns out I probably could have gone for longer, but it's a good thing that I didn't take the chance. So I just need to do a little bit of grafting on each side instead of the whole body. So all in all, I call that a win. Very, very pleased with this. And only 4 centimeters shorter than recommended is pretty much exactly what fits my style and my skirts and all that stuff. So yeah, pretty pleased with Apposite. However, I pronounce that, designed by Kiyomi Bergen, which also pronunciation A. But it's an excellent design. Really enjoyed it. Can recommend my personal modifications if you don't like knitting flat, but obviously if you do, you're probably gonna have a blast with this pattern. So, but yes, you will no doubt be seeing this again once it's properly dried up and sewn together, and I might just present it on the podcast once more. I might spend a bit less time talking about all the things that I did. Maybe I'll just repeat myself depending on how much content I have that week. Yeah, professional here as ever. But I thought one last thing is to just give you a close-up of the fabric, because I am so in love with this. Look at how that's blending together with the purple, burgundy, silk mohair. It's like the silk mohair is burgundy, but the core silk is more purple, whereas the Polworth blend yarn is kind of red on the side of orange, and it's just together becoming the best color. And I feel like just a silky kitten with this, honestly. And I am very bitter that summer has arrived and I can't be wearing this half as much as I would like to. I will be looking forward to winter, that's all I'm gonna say. And I'm sure you are all dying to know the progress of the Smocket shawl in this bag that I picked up in a local kind of hipster shop down the road. Smocket is looking extraordinarily similar to what it did last week and the episode I presented it before that. It's not fast. I don't know how people like power through this shawl. I am not powering through it. This is one of those projects that I bring with me everywhere because it's always fairly easy to knit on, albeit I always have to look at it a bit when I'm starting every row, just because I kind of want to know if I'm at this end or this end, I'm at the rib end or at the double garter end. Who knows? So yeah, but other than that, it's pretty good to just bring around. Doesn't take up that much space right now that I'm only working through one skein, and then just keep knitting according to the pattern until I have the number of stitches that I need to have kind of full stitch count before I think I'm gonna stripe it with the second color, and then I work just the second color, and then I stripe it with the next color, then I just reverse this for the last color. I think that's how it's supposed to be. That's what it looks like on the photo anyway. Not that I've read through the pattern first, because actually, unpopular opinion, I am not a believer in read through the pattern before you start. I am a believer in read through the paragraph. That can be a good idea, you know, just make sure you've read the section. But the whole thing, just cast on first to make sure you familiarize yourself with the thing. Because like, I guarantee you, if I read through the entire pattern of everything I knitted, I'd be so intimidated. I would be like, I have no idea what's going on here. I always have to just knit it to really know what the instructions mean. I don't really get them before I've knitted them, which yeah, could pose a challenge when you're a designer, but usually I know what I'm designing, so that's kind of a non-issue. So yeah, that was completely unrelated to this. It's pretty clear to me what I'm gonna do actually, so I don't know why I started talking about that now. But yeah, Smocket by Stephen West. It's something I'm still knitting on, but might be finished in 5 years, you know. We have seen a bit of a whip resurrection this week. We've actually seen 2, arguably 3 if you count April site, but I feel like that was just over a month old. That doesn't really count as like a proper UFO. But well, the same thing applies to this shawl. Anyway, I picked up the Calla shawl again, which has been resting for like a week or 2 or so. I really just powered through it in the beginning, and then I got to the first cable section. I made a lot of mistakes and I fixed that, and then I put it away. So I picked it back up again, and I really worked on this a lot on Saturday. I have 2 skeins that I haven't started yet. They are safely protected because I am paranoid of moths, and for good reasons, because London. Anyway, I have actually knitted up one of the 4 skeins already, so I am on the second one, and it's already considerably smaller than when I started because the rows are longer and longer. Hope you like the peonies in the background, by the way. I had hoped they would have blossomed by today, but they have not. So, maybe they will have next week. That would be nice. Anyway, Calla shawl, also from the latest Lane magazine. Oh, this Lane romance of mine. It's... Do you remember when Lane first came out? I was kind of skeptical. Like, looking back at the first 2 issues now, they weren't quite up my alley, so I can sort of understand that. But I was like, I don't know if this is for me. You know, which is kind of how I feel about most knitting magazines. Like, they are really my style, not because I'm fussy, but yeah, I am fussy. But Lane has grown on me ever since issue 3 and onwards. I'm all about it. So every time they come out with something, I'm like, yeah, I want that and that and that. So having nearly finished April side, knitting on the Calla shawl, and I'm thinking about the I don't know what it's called, bohus sweater, bohus something. I don't remember, but it looks like a bohus sweater with drop shoulder instead of a yoke. I really want it, and I wanted it in the recommended yarn. But then I thought about some Baram Yu yarn, I think it was, or was it Dove Stone? I don't remember, but it's really nice. And but the colors of Jonabin is really nice too. Dilemma. But anyway, focusing on this shawl right now. This is dark. Oh my days, you can't see anything. Okay, let's just blow out the camera. Is this? Yes, there we are. This is a very beautiful and dark burgundy. It's just exactly how I like it. This is just, if I say this a lot, but if you want to know what my preferred shade of burgundy is, it's definitely this one. Oh, so nice. So as you can see, I have powered through the first cable section. It's looking really nice and kind of 3D. Like, it's kind of, I guess, so yeah, it's 3D, if you can see that. Like, it's so, yeah, it pokes out in the back. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't know words. Why should I know words? It's not like I'm doing a podcast or anything. So yeah, I am already on the second cable section, and that is the second cable section before I get to the edge. I think before the edge I worked that cable section a third time, and then I get to the edge, and then I think there's like a picot bind off, which I find a bit of a strange feature on this shawl, but I'll do it. Well, I'm not gonna knock it until I've tried it. So okay, I feel like you have seen it in enough detail now that you get a sense of it. It's got a lot of broken rib pattern and yeah, cables, and I am cabling without a cable needle, which I actually only learned how to do when I was doing the Sodec cardigan, also from Lane, which is just hibernating a bit because it's a lot of cables. I thought I knew how to do cabling without a cable needle before. I was not doing it the right way. It was a way that was kind of functional, but also really difficult and uneven. So I definitely recommend looking up cabling without cable needle if you're like me and you thought you knew how to do it, but turns out you had no clue what you were doing. Ha! So now I'm doing it the right way and it's looking a lot nicer. I'm just gonna stop holding it up now because you can't see anything when it's so dark. So what I want to say about this shawl is that I think this is made by a designer who knows what she is doing. Oh my days. This is just like each and every detail has been thought through. Like, sure, you have this nice cable repeat going on here, and I guess maybe that's something like any designer could just pop into any broken rib stitch pattern. Yeah, sure, but the way it works into the increases here just kind of got me very excited. This is just the kind of touch of detail, just that, oh yes, yes, I love this. I was like knitting through and I thought, why am I just doing one of the cables here and one there? Here I'm doing two and two, but here's like, what? And then the way it's coming together, oh yes, yes. And same thing is happening kind of on the outer edge here. You can see that, how it's like just half of the cable is slowly emerging here. Yeah, just, I'm all for this. I just love how from the very beginning she just thought about how everything is coming together in this shawl. Just, I'm really excited about this. I'm gonna love this shawl so much. And it's knitted in Jonabin Viola yarn, which is I think Emily Foden dyed, or at least developed the colors on their DK weight Falkland Merino base, which I think is the same as Knit by Numbers. It is very pill prone, which is why I ended up not using it in a garment but rather in a shawl. Like I said, it's DK weight, so it's got nice squish to it, and oh yeah. So that was all the amazingly good things I have to say about this, because I do have a little bit of gripe with it, a little bit, and I feel like that is something that could have easily been caught in tech editing. So I'm going to try to see if I can explain this better this time than I did last time. So the pattern has a lot of 2x3 cables, and they're either left leaning or right leaning, but the cable symbols look like 2x2 cables or 3x3 cables. They just kind of don't give any indication whether you are supposed to say do this kind of cable or this kind of cable, if that makes sense, right? So if this is the stitches that go in front, is it the 3 that go over the 2, or is it the 2 that go over the 3? It's not entirely clear, and I made mistakes several times. And this is the exact same issue that I had with the Soda cardigan. So I feel like it's something down to the formatting of whatever software or stitch font or whatever that Lane uses. That could just be a bit clearer, because I have just had to undo a lot of cabling because of this. And actually for the Soda cardigan, I opened up Stitch Mastery and I redid the whole chart, both for portability's sake and for just making sure I'm not going to make the same mistake again, because there was a lot of dropping of stitches to try to fix that bit because I was not going back. So that's been a bit frustrating, but it is possible to find out. Like, it wasn't a huge struggle for me to find out. Like, I don't want to scare anyone away from trying this pattern and thinking they're going to make mistakes. If you're just a bit more alert than I am, I think you're going to figure it out. Read more into the abbreviation as well, because it does kind of let on a bit more if you especially look back into the more expanded explanation. But yeah, it's something that it just would help if it was clearer from the symbols. And the other thing is that I don't think the explanations for the decreases on the purl side is accurate or clear. Again, I am happy to look up tutorials for, you know, oh, okay, how do I do the central double decrease on the purl side, which turns out there aren't that many good tutorials on. So if you're a tutorial maker, we need better ones. Like, I've seen one that wasn't even accurate. It wasn't a center decrease at all, and it was the most kind of common search result that I found. No matter how I changed my search, that video came up and I'm like, it's not even accurate. But that's not Lane's problem. It's got nothing to do with them at all. But the purl side 2 stitch decreases, so, you know, reversing the SSK and knit 2 together, unless my mind was just off because it was late and because I'd worked on this for a whole season of a TV series in one sitting. I think that wasn't accurate in the pattern either. I feel like if I was to do what the pattern said, you know, knit purl 2 together to reverse whatever was on the other side, it wouldn't be a reverse. So what I would just recommend to you if you are knitting this pattern is just to turn your work and see, is this right? Okay, it's not. Then I'm going to do it the other way and that it will be right. So you just want to make sure the stitch that has always been the overlapping one for all the rows before, it's just going to keep being the overlapping one. Then you'll be fine. So it's not very hard to solve. It was just a bit annoying that that wasn't quite right. You know, I love a bit of detective work in my knitting, so I just, yeah, it kind of adds to my enjoyment if I have to figure out stuff for myself. And I am happy to tell you just kind of how you can work it out as well. So as for this shawl, I am aware that it is becoming slower and slower. I am really enjoying it. I just love even how the designer has thought about how to work all knit stitches in this side and do the rib on the back side, because so many broken rib patterns do the other way around, which makes you purl more because you do all the purl stitches on the back and then rib on the front. Why make me purl more than necessary? So I like that. She's even thought about that, which is really great. But yeah, like I said, the rows are longer and longer. It's going to be slower and slower, and eventually, yeah, I'll be getting to both the 3rd and the 4th skein. This is just the nature of shawls, really. So I'm hoping I'm not gonna like give up on it just because it doesn't have the Helen Stewart percentage system that I've grown quite dependent on to motivate me. But I think I'll be fine. So one last whip that I picked up lately, I referred to this actually in the last episode. It is a hat also from Lane that I've been working on for a very long time, because I was on a hat kick and I was like, it's bulky weight, it will be done quickly. And apparently I'm one of the very rare people who will have a bulky weight hat project laying in my whips for months and months and months, and probably half a year by this rate. Anyway, I picked it up again. Also, it's very dark and it's a bit more blue in tone of a burgundy. It's probably more of a purple, arguably, than the other color, but this is basically it. And it just occurred to me how similar this is to the Cala shawl in aesthetics. So you see the kind of round cabling here. It's got like a similar, these are gonna go so well together. Oh, so yeah, that's pretty cool to find out. But this is actually not at all cabled. Yeah, I thought I was doing a cabled hat. This is lace. This shape is just made with lace. Just knit 2 together and increases and yarn overs. Ribs and ribs, knits and purls, which I guess is rib. It's actually a slit rib, which is something I've come across a lot lately. The slip stitches are really making their presence known lately, I feel. So yeah, I'm gonna do what I did with the bracket hat as well, and that is to put in an extra repeat of this pattern. Because right now I'm supposed to be starting to work on the crown, and I'm like, guys, come on. Like, if I fold the brim now, which is how it's supposed to be worn, then this is the hat. Like, my head is not this low. There's a lot of head still happening here. What is wrong with my head? Why do I always have to do this? There's so much braid inside, that's why. Yeah, no. But it's enjoyable, it is quick. It's just that it's one of those things you really need to pay attention to the chart a lot. So that's probably why it's taken a little bit longer than I thought it would. But yeah, it is Brooklyn Tweed Quarry. It is a skein I picked up at Pearl Soho in the autumn of 2017, and I like it. It's nice and squishy and like kind of airy, like, yeah, airy. Do I have anything else to say? I don't know. The name of the pattern is Luto. I'm gonna show you the thing in the magazine. Here we are, it's on the cover, so that made it easy. We even have photos on the inside, look at that. So it's been used in a colour that isn't quite me here, so that is why I'm using a colour that is quite me, because that is one of the wonders of knitting. I love this, and it's going to be enough with one skein, and I have a lot left. And I'm living dangerously and center pulling a Brooklyn Tweed skein, what can I say? It's not broken on me yet, so I'm pretty confident. So I think there will be room for the extra repeat. I've even worked a little bit extra rib, because I know from experience that my rib row gauge tends to be a lot shorter than other people. Like, I even found it if I write the number of rows I did in a rib cuff of a mitten in my pattern, then people doing the same number get a lot longer cuffs. So I already did that, and there's still a lot of yarn left to get an extra repeat here, I think. I'm pretty confident anyway. So I think the hat will fit me, and obviously if not, it goes in the gift pile, because nothing better for a gift than a hat. So that means that I've already knitted two things out of this magazine. So I've knitted Magnolia, and I've knitted this hat. From the third issue I knitted Bracket, and I knitted Hay. From the current issue I knitted Aprilside and Calla, and probably another sweater. I mean, I'm getting, like, you know, value of my money or purchases, whatever that phrase is. It's, yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm actually knitting the patterns as opposed to some of the other magazines I subscribe to. I'm like, oh, this is exciting. Never knit anything from it. But I might, you know, and it's the collector mentality in me. So where do we begin here? Many of you will remember that I knitted myself a boxy that I finished the other week. It was mostly worked on the knitting machine, and then I hand knitted the sleeves and the neckline and the garter on the shoulder, short rows, and the rib at the bottom. So I ended up having a boxy fairly quickly. It's really nice, and thank you all so much for the kind words after last week's episode. I, as ever, read through all of them, and I'm terrible at replying, but thank you. And yeah, my lovely friend Amy Florence of the Stranded podcast and Stranded Dye Works started to feel like she needed a third boxy, and I've kept reminding her after the second boxy that she did, that looked a lot like the first boxy that she did, that she said to me, Ellie, if I ever say I want to knit another boxy, stop me. And I've reminded her of this, and she seems to just kind of not take that into consideration and just be like, I didn't say that. That's not how I feel anymore. I'm like, you told me to remind you. So what we've ended up doing is a little bit of a swap to save her from the, no, who am I kidding? She's gonna knit another boxy. She's gonna have a fourth one as well. But anyway, her third boxy I am making on the machine whilst she's doing some mattress stitching on my Verde sweater that I showed you last week. So I thought I'd show you what I have machine knitted for her. First of all, I did a swatch in her single ply merino limoncello that she had, just because she has decided to go against her own advice and use single ply merino. So she's got this grey single ply merino yarn in her stash. I'm just going to show you one of the sides because they look exactly the same. So in here I wrapped in the remainder of the skein. I did not have to alternate here, hallelujah, but I did alternate the transition between one skein and the second, and the rest is just attached so that Amy can work on the shoulders and stuff and not have to break the yarn and join again, because why would I make her do that? So yeah, we basically just have two stockinette squares. They are quite big and they're rolling on all the sides, so they look a lot smaller, but it is not. And it's a single ply merino, so God knows what this is going to look like in the end. Yeah, I'm trying to be careful with it because there's just a couple of rounds of finial to secure the kind of bind off, which is not actually secured because or at least I don't know how to do that on the machine, but the cast on it is secure. There's a strand going through the beginning stitches, so that's pretty nice. So yeah, looking pretty good. Have cranked up these two squares on the machine, and I'm gonna be sending them to or giving them to Amy very soon. So you'll be seeing a third boxy in, surprise surprise, grey on her podcast soon. And that is actually all I have for knitting content this week. I have been a very good egg and not been doing any knitting shopping lately. I have talked myself into buying 3 skeins of linen yarn from my local knitter, so there will be yarn coming. There's just nothing right here right now to show you that I have bought, so I feel pretty good about that. The massive shopping craze that you found kind of towards the end of 2017 and lasting for about a year, it's definitely calmed down, obviously with the exception of yarn festivals, but yeah, there's a lot more knitting from stash here lately and I'm really enjoying that. Obviously if I find something that I like, who's gonna stop me? So knowing that I'm a bit short on the content, I thought I would wrap up this episode with a Q&A, assuming there were people who put questions on my Instagram when I asked about an hour ago. So I'm gonna go check that now and answer the questions that I see. Fun. If you're not here for the Q&A, then thank you so much for watching. More knitting will be presented next week. So we do actually have some questions here that I actually have the immediate answers to. That's pretty good. There is a question asking book/websites that are must-reads for people who want to write a knitting pattern. Ooh, well, first of all, make sure you have knitted a lot of knitting patterns first and foremost. Make sure you have a lot of experience. I know there's a lot of people who really want to just start designing as soon as they've started knitting, and sometimes this can lead to great new ways of thinking, which is amazing because people who haven't been in the scene for that long will have new and original ideas, and that's awesome. But yeah, just make sure that you have knitted a lot of things, a lot of variety, because often the risk can be that you end up unknowingly copying the very few that you have knitted from. And I think if you have a more varied experience, then that is less likely and you will have found kind of what your style is and how you like to do it. The other thing is that, you know what? If you start designing, your first design is probably not going to be as well written as your second. It's not going to be as well written as your third, and so on. I mean, I talked about last week how I am developing my new template, and so I decided to have a go at the Vinterfjell sweater, and it's just been over a year, but oh my god, it's just awful. So just to be a bit kind on myself, I am very pleased with the pattern. I think the end product that you get is really good. I am very happy with the accuracy of the patterns. Like the number is accurate, it's all there, it's very clear, you can follow it, you can make a product, and it will be a lot more hand-holding than, you know, the equivalent from commercial Norwegian patterns. But it's not how I like to write my patterns now. It's just like I'm more consistent in how I write things. So like if I abbreviated markers, I wrote M in the abbreviations, M equals marker, yet I spelt out marker every time I mentioned a marker. Why would I abbreviate it then? Just things like that, where, or like I had a really like fancy way of grafting underarm stitches top down, and I'm just like, just pick up stitches from the underarm cast on. Let's not make it complicated. So that's just something that will happen over time. It's not something that you can get a resource now and be good at now. It all comes with practice. It's a really boring answer, but it's just not everything is super quick and instant. It's just kind of how it is. But I do have some resources. They are laying right next to me conveniently because I have made use of them as I am developing my template. And these are both by Kate Atherley, who you should just consult with all regarding all these things. Like I think she's got a blog and stuff, and she just writes about these things, and she is like intimidatingly correct. I'm just like, yeah, let's just wing it, as long as it's good enough, whatever. And then she just like, this is how it is. I'm like, yes, you're right, you're right. So this book is about how to write a knitting pattern. So if that's not exactly what you asked for, I don't know what is. It's good, it's on point, got a lot of material here. I haven't even read half of it, which I really should do. And as an accessory to this, knitting dictionary. So if you're like, you knitted something and you know what that thing is, but you don't maybe know the term for it, you don't know the abbreviation for it, this book has got you covered. So put these two together and you have a pretty good dream theme from Kate Atherley here to help you out. Also, this is really good for knitters. If you're not designing, this is still really good because you can just use it to figure out what certain terms mean. If a pattern assumes that you know something, you can look it up here. And yeah, I think it's fair that a pattern assumes you know stuff. I don't think a pattern should have to explain you everything. Like, I tend to explain to people the rough ways of knitting colorwork, like some things to just be aware of to avoid some mishaps, and I'm like, well, that's not really something you can expect of a pattern. Just because it's a lace pattern doesn't mean the pattern needs to explain to you how lace works. Just because it's a cable pattern doesn't mean you need to explain to you how to knit cables. You know, a pattern will assume that you know stuff, and if you don't, then this could explain to you the terminologies at the very least. And if you don't know how to do stuff, there are videos online. And I don't know, I just want to defend patterns for like not doing everything, because there's been a lot of talk about that the past weeks, about how designers need to do this and this and this and this, and I commented a bit on that last week as well. That's not realistic. We are only humans, and we don't, like, it's not a lucrative business. We don't charge that much for patterns. Like, make sure that the request made for a pattern is in proportion to what you are kind of giving up to get that pattern. Now I got very soapboxy. I did not mean to do that. A pattern needs to be good and accurate, for sure, and this book helps you with the good part. I mean, the accuracy you need a tech editor for, which, yes, get a tech editor, but also this is just really good. Obviously, like, the whole tech editing thing, it's a budget issue more than anything. It's like some people who want to start designing because they have no money, in which case, like, just get a mathy friend and check the writing according to these books. It's not ideal, but again, if you're on a budget, I completely get that. So yeah, so hopefully that was some good answers. These are good resources if you want to start designing. They're not very specific as to what kind of design you're making because you didn't specify, so that's like kind of my answer. I'm going to move on to other questions now. Would you ever knit your full leggings or tights? I would say no, but there have been times where I'm like, I have knitwear for all of my body part except for my legs. And this is the place I'm cold right now, and I could really use it. I have thought about it, but I probably won't. But who knows? But probably no, but maybe. Current work in progress you are excited to have as an FO. Oh. All of them? Like, I mean, I wish they were just finished. I'm really excited about Kala. I think that would be an amazing finish shawl. Oh, I'm gonna parade around in that in the autumn and just be like, oh, my fabulous burgundy shawl. So yeah, Kala shawl definitely. Quite excited to get my own designs off the needles, because like this is always how it is. The sooner they're off the needles, the sooner I can sell the design. It's funny, I did a live stream the other day and I got asked by Skeindeer if what is my least favorite part of designing and what is my most favorite part. I don't know if she asked the most, but I actually said that my most favorite part is actually the grading and the spreadsheet and the numbers and making it all work and like facing some challenges, and yeah, which is usually most designers' least favorite part. Most designers' favorite part is the knitting. That is my least favorite part, and I know that sounds weird because knitting is my favorite thing in the whole wide world. So how is that my least favorite part in designing? Well, because it's a job and it needs to be finished, and it's not about the primarily about the enjoyment of working every stitch, but it's about, oh, this thing needs to be done, it needs to be done by that date, and it needs to be photographed, and it needs, you know, the numbering stuff is fun and challenging, whereas the knitting is just like a chore, which is why I'm so happy and fortunate to have this podcast, because it means I can still justify knitting other people's designs, which is still super fun. Having said that, I do think it's fun knitting my own designs. It's just, there is something that happens when a deadline comes in the picture and you just kind of go, you know. So that did not answer the question. What was the question? Current whip I'm excited about. Yeah, I think I answered that, but just went on a tangent. What ranging gauge would you say finial could be used for? Well, anything. Honestly, any gauge. I can't think of a gauge that is like humanly realistic to work on that you couldn't do. Like, if you're gonna go like beyond super bulky, then no. If you're gonna go beyond lace or cobweb, then no. But you can definitely be up in the 40s in gauge per 10 centimeters, because like finial isn't that different from most yarns in Latvia, and that is the kind of yarns they use to knit their very, very dense knit colorwork mittens. So you can definitely go up to that kind of gauge. That's often like, yeah, lower 40s in gauge, or like maybe up to like 38 stitches per 10 centimeters. It's tight. You can do that with finial. And then you can look at hat patterns, like they can be down to a 13 stitch gauge, right? That's a bulky weight gauge. And it still works if you want to do like a light shawl in finial. It can do any range of gauge, I'm telling you. But it depends what you want, right? I would not go any looser than, say, 20 stitches for a garment. Like, unless you want it to be see-through, then yeah, sure, like 18, 16 could be really cool for like a see-through effect. But for an actual fabric, don't go any looser gauge than 20 stitches. Also probably not much tighter than maybe 30, because that's going to be like, you're going to be wearing a box, like it's just going to be really, really stiff. So yeah, maybe 20 to 30 for garments. Maybe. I'm just making up stuff now, but that's my thinking. Hope that helps. If you don't know what finial is, finial is one of my favorite yarns. Have you tried Norwegian purling? Yes, I have. Unfortunately, I was taught normal purling beforehand, so I could never really change into Norwegian purling. Regrettable. I wish someone had taught me Norwegian purling first, because basically what it means is just you never put the yarn in the front of your work. You do the same kind of purl, but you just keep the yarn in the back. You kind of go behind the yarn before you work into the purl stitch, the knit to be purled. You look up tutorials, I'm not here to explain it, but yeah, I tried it, just it came to me too late. So next question, tips and tricks of a pro knitter. I don't know, am I pro? I don't know. Don't be afraid of mistakes. You're gonna make mistakes. Mistakes are good. If you're gonna like, this is like my most biggest hang up, is when people say, oh, I really want to knit color work, but I'm not ready yet. The only reason you cannot be ready for color work is if you haven't knitted ever. Okay, if you know how to knit, you need to do it now, because, I mean, if you want to do it, obviously, you don't have to do it. But, like, there's nothing to wait for. I don't know what people think is going to happen meanwhile. I've heard similar things with, like, cables. Like, oh, cables, I'm not ready yet. I'm gonna do it when I'm ready. Just do it. Like, you can't learn the skill before you've done it. That makes no sense. I understand you're afraid of failing. I am too. You should see me when I try sewing or any other craft, like the crochet thing. But you just have to get over that. That's my pro tip. Don't be afraid to fail. Just do it. You will fail and learn, and it'll be good, and you will like it. You will fail and you will like it. Anyway, next question. Where do you find inspiration for your beautiful designs? Oh, thank you. I don't know. If I had, like, I am a fairly introspective person, but I don't know how I think. I think very conceptually, like kind of visually, conceptually. So if I get an image of the design in my head, it will stay there. Like, that is fixed. Like, I don't have photographic memory, but if it's already, the photo was already put in here, it's there. Yeah, it's like, I've had this cardigan in my head for a year now. I know what it's gonna look like. I'm just, yeah. So that is how I get the ideas. They pop up in my head. But also, like, I obviously get very much inspired by traditional Norwegian knitting. A lot of that has been done by commercial companies and they do it all the same way, and I'm not here for that. So I definitely like to kind of get inspired by that to make designs that make sense for an international audience. Yeah, like the Icelander, which is made in a construction that nobody's ever seen before, ever. And I'm so scared of like all the messages I'm gonna get in pattern support for that, because it's gonna confuse the hell out of people. Oh yeah. Is it weird to give mittens as a birthday present in July? No. Am I the person you should be asking what is and isn't weird? No. But no. Go for it. Like, imagine like if you're someone whose birthday is in July, it's probably gonna be your birthday in July every July. Like, you've never ever going to have your birthday in winter, so you're never gonna get mittens for birthdays, right? That seems awful. Like, I'm born in January, like I'm always gonna be in the mitten markets for birthday presents. Like, I feel like it's unfair for people born in July to never have that opportunity. Like, yeah, sure, there's Christmas if they celebrate that, but you know, they can decorate with them until winter. Wouldn't stop me, that's for sure. How is the water clover crochet top coming? I mean, I haven't touched it because I'm afraid of failing crochet. Going against my own advice, but that is the truth. I will make it. I have the yarn. Just, yeah, I'm not very good at crocheting, and I did the whole first round and then it was too big, so I changed the gauge. I'm like, whatever, I'm gonna do it, lose a gauge smaller, don't care. And I did the wrong stitch the whole round, I think. Maybe, I'm not sure even. Is it blasphemy to have 4 active needles on one sweater project? Have you seen how I work my designs and my own projects and everything? I knit top down, right? I knit the whole yoke, and then I have the body on the needles and the sleeves on the needles, and I work everything and I go a bit back and forth, and I'm never bored. And I have been known to also pick up the neckline and work on that, so there will be 4 needles. So no, it's not blasphemy. It is entirely in accordance with this whole thing. Go for it. Do you have a favorite sheep breed, as in the cutest, not the one you prefer fiber of? I really love Sparso. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen them, but they're like dogs. They're just so social and cute, and like they look super like I can't talk. I talk like a high school movie. They look like old sheep, like sheep from ages ago, ancient sheep, like awesome horns and like shades of grey on them, and like they just look really badass, and they're a bit smaller and they're just really cuddly. Yeah, all about Sparso, this old Norwegian breed. Yes, yeah. Also like Shetland sheep, like I can't get over Viola the Shetland sheep who I met in Yarndale. She was so cuddly. Just, oh, she's so cute. Sheep are amazing. So yeah, I quite like Shetland sheep and Sparso, and yeah, the old breeds that are more social and usually smaller than the ones that have been like bred specifically for just industrial farming. I'm not super into that, obviously. It just occurred to me that I haven't mentioned 2 places that I am going soon. I don't usually tend to announce that because I tend to forget, and I just remembered now. So for those of you who actually put up with all these nonsense questions and answers, I am going to go to Faversham on Worldwide Knit in Public Day. There is a yarn shop there called the Yarn Dispensary, and I'm going to be there. So, and I'm also going to Dublin for woolen. This has been planned for a while now, and I just forgot to mention it. And like, I didn't even realize I'd made the plan. But basically, I talked to my friends, Shamika and Liz, and yeah, it was mainly May, who's Mathematic Knitter on Instagram, and we're just talking about it, you know, hypothetically. And then they talked about, oh, should we open a group chat for it? And I'm like, yeah, I can join it, you know, just to stay in the loop. And then May found an Airbnb, and she's like, okay, I found an Airbnb. If you book the tickets, we're even. So I booked our flight tickets from London, because it's going to be in London first. And I guess we're going. I have also got my tickets for Woolen, so don't worry. I also have a ticket for the Countess of Blaze class, which I'm really excited about, mostly because I'm a massive Countess of Blaze fangirl. Awkward, but there you go. And that would be really good. I don't know how I managed to get the tickets because I thought they were sold out, but then maybe not. I don't know. So, I'm going to Woolen. See you there, I guess. Worldwide Knitting Public Day. I might see you there too. So, hey. So that is all that I have for this week's episode. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.